2,000 men, loyalty to Hitler was at the core of the SS ethos. The expanded SS organization was essentially a shadow internal security apparatus, which would help the Nazis gain and keep power in Germany. President Hindenburg hoped that making Hitler chancellor in January 1933 would appease and quiet him. He was wrong. The Nazis had always used violence to intimidate their opponents, and once Hitler took office, this did not change. In 1933, the Buchenwald concentration camp was open for political prisoners, and after Hitler became chancellor, thousands of people were sent there. It was not for Jews at first. The Nazis first focused on the intelligentsia and their political enemies. In March 1933, the Reichstag was set on fire under circumstances which remain mysterious. The Nazis blamed the communists, but history blames the Nazis. This last institution of the Weimar Republic was shut down, and Hitler used this as an excuse to condemn communists and socialists to prison. Hitler and the Nazis also moved against those least likely to defend themselves. Physically and mentally handicapped Germans were sent away to special hospitals where they were forcibly sterilized and eventually killed.
Damn.
April 1st, 1933, the Nazis began a boycott of Jewish businesses. The SA stormtroopers stood in front of Jewish storefronts and intimidated anyone attempting to enter. The following week, Jews were removed from civil service positions. Within a year, non-Aryans and anyone with one Jewish parent or grandparent were removed from practicing professions like law, banking, medicine, and journalism. Ironically, the greatest challenge to Hitler's survival during the early years of the Third Reich came from his own SA stormtroopers. SA leader Ernst Röhm had been with Hitler since the beginning and expected Hitler as chancellor to reward the SA with additional power and rewards. After all, Röhm's stormtroopers were largely responsible for Hitler's rise to power. On the front lines of the Nazi political revolution, they had risked their lives battling communists for control of the streets and squashed anyone who stood in Hitler's way. But the SA was now powerful enough to displace Hitler if they so desired, and this became a threat. Also, Hitler could never gain control of the army until he eliminated the SA as a threat to the thoroughly Prussian officer corps. It was time for the SA to be replaced by the SS. June 30th, 1934, the night of the Long Knives. Hitler had carefully concocted a bogus coup plot involving Röhm and other SA leaders, who were summoned to a villa outside Berlin. They were met by a squadron of SS officers and were arrested. Hermann Göring and Heinrich Himmler accused Röhm of being a homosexual. Röhm was taken to prison, where he was beaten and told to confess.
Damn.
When he would not, he was offered a pistol. When he did not commit suicide, the door was thrown open by the SS officers, and Röhm died in a hail of gunfire. In Berlin, other SS units arrested some 150 SA leaders. They were then shot, 4 at a time by a firing squad, in the Lichterfeld barracks. The total number of people killed on the night of the Long Knives, also called the Blood Purge, was nearly 200.
Damn.
Most were SA cronies of Röhm, but some were leading political opponents of Hitler, such as General Kurt von Schleicher, the last chancellor of the Weimar Republic. The audacious nature of the killings and the lack of response from Hindenburg confirmed Hitler's place as the supreme political power in Germany.
Hitler was heartless, man. That motherfucker he ain't care.
A few weeks after the purge, Hitler rewarded Himmler by raising the SS to independent status. No longer a part of the SA, Himmler would now answer only to Hitler. Absolutely loyal to Hitler, the SS would kill anyone on command.
Damn.
And would become the Führer's personal instrument of terror. as well as a gigantic, fearsome military force. The German army generals, by condoning the blood purge, locked themselves in step with Hitler and began the long journey that would take them over the next 11 years to the brink of world conquest, and finally to the hanging docks at Nuremberg.
For veterans recovering from the wounds of
That's
war,
crazy, man.
supporting one another is a lifesaver.
But that's how I be, man. As soon as if you want to go to get the power, you gotta have them. You gotta have them riders, boy. Them hitters. He had them down hitters, man. He started backdooring people, though. You know, people who help him get the power. Just because he want to do something else, he killed them. You know, now he on some new shit. He on his own selfish agenda now. You know, and that's how you got to make sure that's not what Trump doing, man. They start getting selfish when they get in the power, man, and they lead the people out to dry. You know, and Hitler is just he the worst of all. Ooh. The worst, he's as worse as they come. Ain't nobody worse than that dude.